Alright, and welcome back. In this video I'm working on the aft window. I put this off for quite some time just because it scares the crap out of me. This and the canopy itself are two of the items that I've really been dreading starting to work on. But I'm kind of at the point where I'm working on a bunch of small things here and there, trying to figure out what to work on next. So I figured I'd attack this finally. Obviously the fear is cracking the window and the expense of replacing that and having it shipped here. And so that's why I was really hesitant. Now the recommended temperatures, outside temperatures about 80 degrees I believe is what they say to do this. And so I was waiting until the summer, and then it just got too damned hot. So now this is about August when I'm working on this, and the temperatures were still relatively warm. I want to say mid 80s or so. And some people have even recommended putting it out in the sun for a little bit before you actually work on it, just to make it more pliable. I didn't find that I needed to do that. I actually was pretty surprised on how easy this went along. As you see here, I'm drilling it now. I had taped off the perimeter of the window where it meets the skins, just so I can know that every time I move it to clean or get bits of plexiglass shavings out or whatever, it was always going back in the right spot. And then also you'll mark the forward edge of this window where the center line of the roll bar is, and that's where you're going to trim it back to, and you'll see that here in just a minute. So now I'm working on I've got the specialized plexiglass drill bits. They got a sharper angle on the bite, and so they go through the material a lot better, and they don't risk chipping the material and cracking the material as much. So that's what I'm working with. And then also here you got to drill through the roll bar so you can next step is to then tap it so it can accept the screw to hold it down there. And so the whole process is actually fairly simple. You see I've got clamps there. Two of them are holding it down against the roll bar, and then the other two, on the ones on the lower, on the sides there, are actually clamped to the roll bar itself on the forward edge of the window to keep pushing it back to hold it in place. Now they're right below that bottom clamp right there, that corner of the skin there. I actually made a mistake. That edge right there, that corner, you have to dimple in one of the later steps to accept a flathead stainless steel screw. Well, the problem I did, or mistake I made, is that there's 3 rivets below that attach to an angle piece that then attach to the backside of the roll bar. And with that in place, I like I said, I pushed these windows off, and it's like, well, what else can I work on? And so I went ahead and put that in, and I riveted it to the roll bar. Well, now the problem is I can't get a dimple behind the skin to get that corner hole where it meets the window. So now I've got to work out a way to figure out what I'm going to do to make that work. So if you are going to work ahead on a particular portion of the build, just make sure that you're not going to kind of screw yourself later. So just be extra careful and really look at what the steps are leading up to that, and will it create a problem for you in the future like this does for me. So now here you see I'm using a Dremel, and I've got a rotobit tool, or rototool bit on there where it just works right through the material. Real easy to work and cut away. And again, this is to align the forward edge with the middle of the roll bar, so that when the canopy closes, it is flush with the rear or the aft window there. And just real careful with it. And then afterwards, now I'm filing. You can see you got to create a bevel on the upper and lower edge of the window there. And then the next step is to sand it and really get rid of the filing markings. And I ended up using, I think, 1,000 grit and then down to a 3,000 grit, and it turned out really well. I was pretty impressed. Now I'm going through and I'm countersinking all of the holes, because again the screws are all going to be flathead screws, so they're going to be recessed into the skin, and then the skin dimpled, and then into the countersunk portions for the window. I just used the normal countersink tool, and it seemed to be fine. I didn't have any problems. Again, it was still, I think, 80 degrees, and so the temperatures were warm enough, and I don't think that it created a problem, but I didn't experience any kind of chipping or anything like that, so it worked out really well. The rest of this is just filing the edges down, really paying a lot of attention to make sure that I'm getting rid of the markings from the filing and really smoothing it out. And then, like I said, using that sandpaper, it really, just made a really nice edge to it. Some of the next steps that I'm going to be working on is finding a lot of miscellaneous things here and there. I'm still working to get the engine on. I'm kind of putting that off. I don't want to break it open. I've got it still packaged up. I've opened the bag that the engine comes into so I can inspect it, but I have kept all the ports and everything closed up and haven't opened any of those yet, just to minimize any kind of moisture getting inside of it. But I'm at that point where I need to start putting the engine together. So in the meantime, I'm looking at all these various small bits and ends to work on as I've gone through several of the steps, and just kind of tying up loose ends here and there. So that's what the next couple of videos will show. Some of the I'm working on the fairings for the wheel pants and things like that. So that's coming up soon. Again, if you have any comments, questions, or concerns, by all means, drop me a line below. I really appreciate those questions, and I like interacting with the community. So we'll see you next time.